so much for the opportunity to share just one example of the experimental consumer research that I conduct here at UIC in the marketing department. Generally speaking, my research revolves around how consumers make food-related decisions. I'm really interested in this topic because it impacts every single consumer, whether you live in a food-rich or food-starved environment. And even though food decisions that you make throughout the day may seem small or even mundane, they really add up to impact the health and well-being of individual consumers, and as a result of that, the economy as a whole. In one project, I was interested in studying how food aesthetics impact consumers' healthiness assessments. I don't have to convince you that how food looks matters in marketing it. You know from experience that people eat with their eyes first, and that marketing communication relies heavily on images, be it visual ads, images on packaging, or pictures on restaurant menus. Other research had already found that food that is styled in a pretty-looking manner is expected to be tastier and is also expected to be produced and created with greater firm effort, increasing the valuation of those food products. I was interested, however, in a different angle, the connection between beauty and nature, and in turn, nature and healthiness perceptions. It is well established that aesthetic features that are considered beautiful by humans as a whole actually reflect patterns that are extremely dominant in nature. For example, in the first row, you see an example of symmetry. Over 99% of animals and over 90% of plants exhibit a very high degree of symmetry. In the second row, you can see an example of order or pattern repetition. The fancy term for that is self-similarity, which is exhibited in broader structures like coastlines. Balanced proportions, like those following a Fibonacci spiral, which you can see in the bottom row here, are also found everywhere in nature and are deemed to be beautiful. So I asked, might pretty food seem healthier by virtue of looking more natural? And in order to answer that question, I conducted a series of experiments in the lab and in the field. For example, I randomly assigned people to view identical foods that were either arranged in a pretty fashion or a less pretty fashion following these aesthetic principles. And people rated the prettier looking food to be healthier and more natural. They were even willing to bet money on the fact that prettier looking food had fewer calories. And all of this was attributable, about 30% of these effects were attributable to people's changed perceptions of healthiness. Thank you very much.